You know, Mofu, if I had to guess, I think even though that deck was banned, they knew that I would hate Control Blood, and they did it on purpose. Thankfully, we're not going to see that at all. I want to make that very clear, that that has been banned. So, Dirtman, we're going to not see a mid-shadow mirror either. So,
yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
Today we've pretty much been like casting mid-shadow mirrors every single match. Carepackage, you know, Man of the Hour is the only one of the few people who actually just didn't bring Shadow as a class. Not to say the same for Vetu, who has, I think similar to the games we've already casted, he calls it 777 drop slot machine.
Yeah, I mean it happens, right? You have nothing but 7 drops in your hand. You can't really do anything. So until you have 7, of course.
Mm-hmm. It is where like all the real. I'm just gonna call that like a power spike. Oh, there it is. It works.
The 777 slot machine.
Yeah,
all right.
Why didn't he keep that? Right? I mean, come on. That's all you need to win.
Well, yeah, you just gotta wait 7 turns, right?
I'm pretty sure if you draw those cards in that order, like the second the game starts, your opponent like just loses 20 health, right? Or 20 defense.
Yeah, that's starting to sound like an old card that I made with my friends. You know, like if I draw all 3, you lose. By the way. So,
pretty much.
And then you stack
anyway.
the deck full of all of them, of course. You're just like, okay, every time.
Yeah.
That's a good
I mean,
mulligan. Carepackage still thinking about his though.
Yeah, this is actually a kind of tough one to approach. I mean, when it comes to Burn Dirt and you're playing versus Mid-Shadow, this is a matchup we've seen quite a few times before. I guess what he was thinking was, how much am I going to be able to dump out this hand before I get to the Oz? Is it even worth playing towards the Oz? But he got a really strong mulligan, I think. Like, Witch's Cauldron into Apprentice Alchemist just gives this, it gives this deck so much early speed, but it's not really the same as going into a Magic Illusionist. How do you feel about this opener?
Right, no, I mean, it's very interesting. He's going to draw 2 for free. He's going to perfect draw, honestly, but I do agree. Magic Illusionist is just a bit better, I think. The Ward is going to be awkward to play. It's not really playable next turn, because you want to play Carl next turn, right? So it's kind of weird, but a great start nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. I think Apprentice Alchemist is like... I really like this card. I like all the cards that just have an effect like this, where they try to give you value out of your Earth Sigils by turning them into these 3/3 wards. But I think when you're not matched up against a super aggressive deck, and I wouldn't really classify Mid-Shadow as a super aggressive deck, doesn't really care too much about the early game, then like the Guardian Golems just really aren't that big of a deal.
Right. It's definitely, I mean, it's by definition not aggro, right? It's just a mid-range deck, but it has the game plan available to it if your opponent doesn't do anything. So kind of the strength of mid-range by definition there.
Mm-hmm. Though, I guess V2 is still in kind of a weird spot. Something I'm getting used to about Mid-Shadow is usually it really just kind of pops off early on when it can get a board that's like defended by Prince Catacomb. But you never really have to worry about having an empty board ever again.
That is it's a good thing though, Mofu. Let's not remember the past, right? I mean, Vetu's hand is just, it's terrible, Mofu. I can't say it a different way. It's absolutely terrible.
I was trying to figure out whether it would have been like okay for me to be like, yeah, this hand is just not doing it for him. But like, you don't want to use these Soul Squashers. I mean, you have a Soul Squasher per opponent's evolution orb here, and the Soul Beasts do kind of give him the shadows he needs to have at least one active soon. But moving on to his turn 4, if you're going to be willing to commit one of them, it's still not really that helpful to just commit one of them.
Right. It's not helpful at all, really, to even play anything in this current hand. You don't want to draw all 3 Skull Beasts either. That's terrible. It's gonna make Vetu unable to clear this Magic Illusionist. He can't do anything actually. His board is just terrible.
Yeah, the Skull Beasts can deal with the I don't actually even know what that is. It's a Scrap Iron Smelter. Is that thing itself also a golem? Like a Guardian Golem and like the Scrap Golem?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I think Scrap Iron Smelter probably is just an amalgam of metal, like, you know, melted together, I guess. But
I can see its face. It has eyes for some reason. It needs to see, and for its 0 attack to hit its target all the time. but he can deal with that part. Magic Illusionist, I mean, this Magic Illusionist is pretty much just like the rune equivalent of like a Prince Catacomb. This guy has like 4 skeletons, really.
I mean, it's a Mordecai right now. It is a 2-play-point Mordecai right now. Let's be real here.
Right. Now that you mention it, like there are some cards in Rune that actually skirt really, really close to Shadowcraft in terms of like just how they feel, what they do. Magic Illusionist is one of them. Not many classes have something that has a last words effect that like resummons itself or something like after it gets killed by combat or effects or anything like that. There's also like Professor of Taboos that isn't in this list, but it's kind of cool to see like the Magic Illusionist alone here holds out against an entire Shadow board using what Shadow as a class is like known to do.
Here we go.
It's kind of weird when you think about the macabre behind Runecraft being very good at, you know, resummoning things like Shadow would with Earth Sigils, almost like they're raising things from the dead, from their graves and everything. But yep, that doesn't matter at all. Carepackage gets an incredible turn. His board is insane. Going back to the actual game that matters, how does Vetu even win, Mofu? What is his even game plan at this point?
I was about to say that it looked like the only thing he could do was just Soul Squasher, but I mean, Andre Alphys and Soul Squasher finally gives him a way to kind of line out this turn. He can get the effect onto Soul Squasher as well. Just kind of trade out a little bit, get a bit of damage face. I think he just needs to kind of last until he can get to this Thane, and unknowingly, because he can't see Carepackage's hand obviously, hope that Carepackage doesn't actually just get to slam a Master Mage Levi anytime soon, because his board is not prepared for that.
Right, Master Mage Levi would flip this upside down. He does have a draw step before now and the next turn, but you are right in the sense that, you know, there's not really many options. And these Skull Beasts are just going to keep pecking down. They're going to keep hitting for 1. They're not going to do anything, really, but they are going to... Oh, never mind. Okay, never mind. Down with Skull Beasts.
Interesting. You just, like, get in there. Make yourselves useful. It takes out another Sigil. Gives them an extra draw, but, I mean, that kind of play tells you...
Oh, my gosh. And because he gave him a card draw, he just gave him the curve of Levi this turn into Carl Halo Golem the following turn. V2, man... What do you think of that play, Mofu?
Well, you know, that's just one of those things. I think if the line of play, or like the way of thinking about it there, is if he does actually peck down the Magic Illusionist, that means he highly values eventually trying to get the Illusionist and Sigils off the board in a sooner time span, over just like going face and just trying to be like, I can win without dealing with this at any point. But I do think that giving Carepackage the draw, knowing you can't get rid of all of his sigils, knowing he's going on to the turn where Master Mage Levi is active, is just so dangerous, but he chooses not to go for it.
Carepackage not going for, maybe even trying to bait V2 a little bit, not going for the what we thought was going to be obvious Master Mage Levi, and instead playing Carl into even evolving it. Interesting.
Yeah, I am very surprised. I thought that was just a slam Master Mage Levi. He gave it to you. He let you draw it. But playing very conservatively, that's so interesting. What do you think he's like going for with that? I mean, you did say
if
bait.
I had to guess, it would be a bait. He's trying to hold it for Death's Breath. It has to be it.
Yeah, Death's Breath is like a huge possibility. I mean, actually, now that you mention that, yeah, that's really good. If V2 did have Death's Breath there, he had just the right amount of shadows for it. He wouldn't have to actually care about that at all. It would have been a lot more annoying to have to like commit his Halo Golem to it afterwards, and then have to trade in his bodies.
It would have stomped him down for an entire turn, which would have made the Thane or Eek after much more devastating. But V2's draw luck this game has been very bad. He just keeps getting the worst hands.
Well, he has completed the 777s in a slot machine, so he can do his very best from this point forward, just try to develop those and get some power out onto the field. But I think Carepackage is actually going to see his conservative use of Levi pay off.
It's possible. I mean, he only has this one Earth Sigil, though, so he's got to use it on the Halo Golem, so he actually gets a chance to throw things face. V2's finally out of Evolves, so there's no way to wipe the war with Master Mage Levi, but Master Mage Levi can still do 3-face. He's still a threat.
Which would mean he's absolutely forced V2 to commit to the Eekter this turn. In fact, he's telling him, you better have it. it or Death's Breath. Death's Breath wouldn't be
Death's
as
Breath.
impactful here.
That was a Snap Eater, and even if an Earth Sigil's drawn for Carepackage, I don't think he even wants to see those at this point. You know, maybe if he sees two of them, that would be great. But one of them doesn't do anything. You don't want to pop it even. So he does find one.
Don't forget.
Oh my. We are getting somewhere.
This is
with
really
this.
close.
So let's look at this very carefully. V2's next turn, he's got options. He has a huge trading body on board. He has the option of soul converting his own Thane. I think he's going to go for that really, really quickly just to try to get this White King out, protect himself. Only way he doesn't die. Then what do we have from Carepackage's side? There's a 4-5 board he has to deal with. He can drop the Earth Essence, Levi trade hit. I think that's actually just it for V2, isn't it? Because Carepackage just has it through the White King.
I think he does. It does. The Earth Sigil. I did mention how the Earth Sigil wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's going to wipe the board completely, basically. And it's going to allow Carepackage to push through. I mean, we talked about this before. We talked about Dirt Burn Rune. We still haven't seen it lose. We haven't seen it lose today, at least. It just seems like such a powerhouse, especially against Shadow, especially against, you know, other decks we haven't even seen. But that was just Master Mage Levi. Such a good card, man.
Yeah, a lot of decks will just end up with this question of, I mean, if Mid Shadow is as popular as we've seen it, and like, I can only name like off like maybe 2 fingers players who chose not to bring Mid Shadow. We're looking at one of them with Carepackage, and he just slammed it with Dirt Burn. Then really it is Dirt Burn that has answers to it. Master Mage Levi, etc. It can put up
I think Dirt Burn should be the deck we should be looking for answers for, but that's going to push Carepackage onto his Vengeance Blood deck. You know, we see V2 switching it up, not switching it up, rather, staying on the mid-range Shadow. Vengeance Blood versus mid-range Shadow, it's a matchup we're not, he's got double Eater again, but we're not, you know, we're accustomed to this by now, today, at least, Mofu. How do you feel here? Which do you think is going to take the lead?
This one is a lot different from Dirt Burn as a matchup because like Vengeance Blood has an immense amount of damage it can deal face. It all becomes like active right after it slams that Belphegor. But I think one of the big weaknesses is that Blood doesn't have an option like Master Mage Levi. It has, well, Hungering Horde comes close, but he does only run 2 in this deck, and it isn't always a perfect answer. You can't always assume you're going to have popped your opponent's entire board into skeletons and then sweep it. It's not always that perfect. So I think that this is a matchup that could go either way, but due to consistency reasons, I think I would put my money on V2 here.
I think the opposite even. I think Carepackage has got this in the bag already with double Urius and Bone Chimera, the only playable card in V2's hand.
Now that you say it, you know, you raise a good argument.
If he plays the Bone Chimera, Urius can just, you know, crash into it, cause him to take 2 just from getting the shadows. There's not really much you can do. And if you don't do damage to him this turn, and then, you know, Prince Catacombs comes down, your own followers are just pinging you every turn, and that feels bad.
You know, I'm gonna stick to my previous statement in that I do think in a normal environment that V2 would have had the advantage here. I think it's just his opener, which is like, if you open a Skull Beast into a Lurching Corpse, which can't help you actually pick away at Urius's, God, that just, I'm wincing. I can't look at this. I can't look at this. But as I was saying, you don't really have, you're on the draw, so you don't really have any options that help you take out Urius as he hits the board. And then your turn 3 and 4 are Bone Chimera into Catacomb and you don't have anything else that helps you. Yeah, in that situation, this is looking pretty hopeless.
It's definitely, I think the game is actually already over. You can't kill Urius this turn, right? The Lurching Corpse can't kill itself on Spiderweb Imp because Lurching Corpse is too powerful even the toughness, right? This is just, oh gosh, Mofu.
I'm gonna be honest, Envy. This looks like a co-op game here. It kind of looks like Carepackage and V2 are. It's those two versus V2 right now. Like they're working together.
Yeah, V2's working with Carepackage to make sure. This is like those old like custom games you'd play where one player tries to help kill themselves off because you wanted to get the gold off the mission, right?
Exactly that. Oh, I mean, I think we saw this like a long time ago. Maybe the very first time I was casting, where like Sword did this exact same thing to Shadow by just getting this Bladed Hedgehog up to like 13 attack off of this exact setup where the shadow side drew nothing but skeleton generators and no actual significant tools to help it get back in there. Now we just see Urias
Right.
protected the entire game.
This is just, oh gosh. I mean, we finally see one Urias die, but you're already at 4 life, and there's still a Urias on the board, so you've got to kill it. So
Did you count how many?
I don't know. Bofu, if you're V2, how do you win? How do you come back at all if you do?
I wasn't even thinking around that line of logic. I was thinking at this point, you know, how much damage has Urias done to me? How high can I bring it? You know, just try to get a high score here. But yeah, I don't think you can come back from this. If you're opener, and mid shadow, like, this is a weakness I didn't know before this game. If you're mid shadow and you just draw nothing but skeleton generators, which is like the strength of shadow as a class, is that your followers are so sticky they keep summoning more things, but you can't get rid of a card that punishes you for doing exactly that, then where are you actually going? How do you win? You're at 2 health on turn
Right.
5, and it's like your own deck's fault.
Yeah, it feels bad. Your deck, it's like a Zoe kind of effect, right? Where you try so hard and you get so far, but nothing really matters in the end.
Yeah.
And when you don't draw a zombie party and you have no way to kill those Uriases, what do you do?
Gosh, at very most, I think, like, if he drew zombie party, then we could still be approaching this game from like a perfectly analytical standpoint. What can he do? What are his options? But I think here, I mean, he's not dead yet. He plays around vengeance, and that's
He's
very
not dead
good.
just yet. Yeah. Oh God. Uh-oh. It's a good hand though. Double Angel of the Word. I never thought I'd say this ever, but Double Angel of the Word is a fantastic closer next turn.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, right here, now Diabolic Drain I think is like Oh wait, hold on. Actually, let me look at this a little bit harder. So if he goes Diabolic Drain here, it goes back to 12, but he loses the guarantee that Dark General or Emeralda are going to have. What am I saying? As you just pointed out, Angel of the Word's lethal.
Right, yes. I don't think he has to care. That was weird, though. If he was going to drain this turn, it did make more sense to drain before attacking. Your Belphegor has less health now, but I don't think you care as Carepackage. So, because there's no way for it to heal in Shadow right now in the current deck he has. So,
yeah. The situation I was looking at was, you know, before he drew his second Angel of the Word, I just took the other one for granted, and I was like, well, to actually finish this game, he doesn't have the Uriases to stay there anymore. He's going to need to get to Vengeance, which is pretty easy with Belphegor. Then Dark General and Emeralda just finish it off after that. If that were the case, then that could have been a pretty tough turn to navigate, because V2 does have active damage from him with the Deathly Tyrant, but because he has both Angels of the Word, it doesn't really matter. He can just Diabolic Drain, keep his life total as high as possible. Probably not going to be
V2 doesn't want to see how he dies. Oh no, that's you know, I've never seen that before in my life. Double Angel of the Word lethal when you have 7 play points available. It's
I call that one the spitball lethal.
Yeah, they just throw little angelic snipes at them. The Angel of the Word. That's not a lethal you want to see happen to yourself, especially when you draw. So unfortunately, V2 drawing really poorly both games. I don't know. It was still fun to watch though. Let's see what Exo thinks.